I used to work at a tourist attraction in the foothills along the Front Range that you had to travel up a deep and narrow box canyon during the summers and winters to get to. This happened before I knew the North American hominid lived in this area. Sure, my friends had seen weird stuff at night nearby. However, I just dismissed it as paranormal or psychological in nature. Later, after the Marine Corps, I'd come back to this attraction as a manager and have the fright scare out of me with a close encounter many years later. One of the managers lived in the canyon at this time as a groundskeeper and was in charge that day. We'll refer to him as Mr. K. The sun was close to setting when we got a number of complaints from tourists informing us that at the start of the canyon, there were multiple dead deer along the road. We were at the end of the box canyon, so being perplexed and assuming someone had hit some deer, we drove down the canyon to investigate from the main shops. I was working maintenance at this time, so naturally I came. When we were close to the entrance, we saw that on the north side of the road lay 3 dead juvenile deer spaced apart about 6 to 10 meters from one another on the side of the road. The north side held the creek and a steep, almost vertical cliff, and a little further down, steep scree and brush. The south side of the road had a lot of more trees and brush on the scree before being blocked by vertical cliffs. Since I did most of the maintenance work that day, I had been up and down the canyon many times throughout the day and would have seen these clearly visible deer, which meant it had to have happened later in the day. It was odd already because we get lines of vehicles coming into the canyon and no one had seen how the deer got there. The first impression as we were pulling up was that it would be hard to hit 3 deer at once. However, upon closer inspection, it became clear that this was no hit and run by a vehicle. These deer had died by other causes. There was no visible markings of trauma or obvious indication of death besides what looked like their necks may have been broken. The only clear and obvious damage was a rip in each of their abdomens where it looked like organs had been removed. The manager seemed almost to have a reaction like he knew how this happened. I asked him what he thought and he said he had no idea, maybe Satanists. There's a huge modern day occult following here because in one of the nearby towns, Aleister Crowley founded the movement there. This has been the scapegoat for anything weird found that can't be easily explained, dating back to the 1970s when a string of cattle mutilations occurred where residents either blamed UFOs or the occult on the strangeness. Don't get me wrong, living here I came across strange rituals and sites and had to learn about necromancer circles as a commonplace while exploring the foothills. What was odd about the abdomens was that no sharp object had been used to open up the abdomen. In fact, it looked like something with hands and great force had opened it the way you would a bag of chips. No claw or teeth marks of any kind, and it was like this for all 3 of the deer. I pressed my manager for more answers because the occult answer was not adding up. I asked him how did the occult get a hold of the deer without shooting it, knife marks, or any mark of death visible. He said he did not know, but I could not help but wonder that he knew. What was he hiding? Beyond the obvious discomfort for the strange state of the deers being found less than 500 feet from his house, he seemed to know more than he was saying. The abdomen rip was pretty big, maybe a 10-inch diameter where the guts had been partially pulled out. I did not check, but it looked like the guts had been moved to the side, undamaged to get to something else, assumedly other organs. The lack of blood at the site was even more evidence that the gut opening had occurred after death, and most likely not on the side of the road where the deer were found. I let it go and compartmentalized it, weird stuff that I can't explain, and left it at that. I asked what we should do with the deer, and he told me not to worry about it, that he would take care of it. It was only years later, after I had my own personal encounter with the Na, a quarter mile from the deer site, that I put everything together. Then I remembered something the groundskeeper used to say when he was working there. He would always tell us on maintenance that the silent alarms would go off up at the gift shops in the middle of the night. Driving up there, sometimes walking to be more sneaky to try and find out who or what was tripping them. There was never anything there when he would arrive. When asked what he thought it was, he would shrug, laugh a little, and say, maybe bear. In retrospect, looking back now on what I know, skill sets I've developed since then, it's clear that something was going on, and this manager/caretaker was equally suspicious or had more encounters that he never revealed regarding the nature of these events. If you, Mr. K, come across this video by chance, reach out. I want to know the whole story of what happened to you up in that canyon over the years you were there. Those of you that have followed the channel and videos know that a lot of my personal encounters and evidence all happened in the same region, and I am confident that it's the same band of North American hominids. The others that saw monsters in the woods with glowing red eyes or being stalked on the trails all have their roots having encounters with these highly intelligent hominids. The entire area has been considered haunted for over 100 years. The evidence and encounters I have had leads me to believe this is from a long connection between people and these hominids coming in contact in one way or another. Now going back to the deer, the conclusion I have come to is that the deer were deliberately left at the spot for Mr. K or all the people driving by to send a message. However, what that message is still eludes me. Territorial marker, gift, threat, an entirely different reason perhaps? Let me know your thoughts and if you have come across anything similar on your journeys. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and remember to turn on the notifications button in order to receive notifications for the new videos and posts.